and thanks for tuning in to the Reilly Digital Series. I'm Pamela Claire Wardell, Executive Director here at the Reilly. The purpose of this series is to connect our community during this time of social distancing and to support the artists and event professionals whose livelihood has been severely impacted by the cancellation of live events. Support for the series is provided by the Marion Cultural Alliance, Ocala Recreation and Parks, Cox Communications, Angie Lewis State Farm, the Reilly Art Center Board of Directors, and of course, support from viewers like you. With each performance, we're featuring a locally owned downtown business, and today's featured spot is Agapanthus. Agapanthus is making it easy to continue to shop by visiting their online store, and you can still call, email, or FaceTime with them. For a limited time, they're running an awesome special. You can save 20%, and Agapanthus is giving away 10% with every sale in their store and online. They're going to donate 10% to our local United Way's COVID Relief Fund. So to receive 20% off, use the promo code LEMONADE. And that way they can make lemonade out of lemons. Check out their Facebook page for details and daily updates. Now, to find out more about today's artists and upcoming performances, visit reillyartcenter.com/live. This is also where you can make a donation that will support this series as well as support the Reilly Art Center. If you make $25 donation or more during today's performance, you'll receive a great letter in the mail from us thanking you for your donation and a very cool Reilly fan sticker in the mail. So be sure to support us to make sure this program can continue and also will support the Reilly Art Center's future in our community. As part of this show, we encourage you to engage on whatever platform you're tuning in from, ask questions, interact with those tuning in with you, and of course, most of all, please enjoy the show. Now, please welcome to the Reilly Digital Stage, Tasha Robinson.
I'm Tasha Robinson. I'm the harpist here with the Ocala Symphony, and I've brought pretty much my family here with me in a cargo van. Sounds a little funny, doesn't it? From my smallest to my largest to my most recent harps. This particular one I just shared with you is a 19-string lever harp. Well, this one actually doesn't have levers on it, but it is a lap harp. We're going to go over to a lever harp in just a wee bit. And this lap harp was built for me in Canada by a dear friend as a gift, and he called it his Baby Jane model. I would actually like to share with you that it is one of the harps on stage that does hold its pitch the best, and it does project fairly well considering its wee little sound in the sense of its size. The size and the sound are not the same, that's for sure. We also have here a column, and we have a neck, and we have a sounding board, and we've got the holes in the back, which are very, very helpful for changing strings when they do break. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move along here a little bit. And the particular selection I just shared with you was Brian Boru's March. Now, Brian Boru was a high king in Ireland, and it was said that he was such a devout Christian that on Good Friday he would actually make sure that he did not commit to any warring or any tribal issues or fights or any kind at that time. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to this particular harp. Now, this one, we're going to add a few more strings. We're going to keep adding strings as we go along. And the harps in general, one thing they do have all in common is they have these red strings. And those are C's. And they also have darker strings, and those are F's. We're going to hear some F sharp a little bit. because I'm going to the key of G. But if I was actually just to hear regular old F, and then if I want an F sharp, I move up the lever, and it moves it up to an F sharp. And that's how I get my black keys, my sharps, my flats, similar to the piano. This harp was made in California, and she came into my life about 5, 6 years ago. She was owned by a student of mine, and she's a triplet harp, and she has 36 strings. And I'm going to share with you a really neat little number called Gary Owen. Gary Owen is actually a neighborhood in Limerick, Ireland. So the stopping is a little bit to do with the fact that this is part of my ancestry. Have a lot of English in my background, and I know, and I can imagine you too, I've missed being able to go to the gym and take care of yourself in that way. Sometimes we can run, sometimes of course we can always walk, but there's something about being able to go to a swimming pool and getting the weights and that, and we've all kind of missed that in the last couple of weeks. The next selection is from Ireland as well. It's an Irish air. She bag, she more. And it's spelled actually Sibheagsimhor. So it definitely, if I was to say it the way it's spelled, it wouldn't resemble one or the other. I'd like to dedicate this one to my dad. I remember listening to this a lot with him when I was a child. The next one comes with a story as well, and it takes place in Dublin, Ireland. The story is that when I was a child, I was very fortunate. I got to live in several different countries. And while we were living in Germany, I got to go to Ireland with my dad. Now, of course, you cannot go to Dublin without going to a pub. So he said, we're going to go to a pub. And I said, okay, sure. And I really wasn't much of a beer connoisseur at that age, but I just thought, I'll give it a go. And we go and sit at the table, and he sits down, and he asks for a pint, and he doesn't really get too descriptive about things with me. And he suddenly pushes over the pint across the table to me on the other side. And he says, Tosh, check that out. And I look, and it has a harp on it for Guinness harp, for the Guinness beer. And I was just tickled, so tickled by that when I was a little kid. I always remember that. Dublin streets. now actually going to go and head over to Scotland. While we're doing that, we're going to head over to the key of D. So I'm going to raise my red levers to be in that key. I'd like to dedicate this particular number to a student of mine. Her name is Lyra. Lyra and I were very fortunate and lucky enough to build a harp together one summer. One of the programs that I run at home, we build harps, and she decided to have a finish on it of a coral color, and it wasn't hot pink, although I did have a hot pink one as well at one point. The kids do pick some interesting colors, they do. But after she had built it, and about a year or two down the road, she played Loch Lomond for a performance. And this Loch Lomond goes out to Lyra.
Yon bonny banks and by yon bonny braes, where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond, where me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Oh, you'll take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland before ye. For me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Oh, you'll take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland before ye. For me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
The next selection takes us over from Scotland to Wales. This is a very, very, very well-known Welsh tune. And I wanted to dedicate this to a dear friend. We spent about 12 years together, gigging throughout Canada together, all kinds of different venues. And he was always my singer, and I was always his harpist. And this is Ashgrove.
Down yonder green valley, where streamlets meander, when twilight is fading, I pensively roam, or at the bright noontide, in solitude wander, amid the dark street of the lonely ash grove. 'Twas there while the blackbird was joyfully singing, I first met my dear one, the joy of my heart. Around us for gladness the bluebells were ringing, and little I thought then how soon we should part.
Now, you most definitely cannot share this type of music without having or talking a little bit about jigs and reels and ceilidhs and all sorts of things. And I spent a great deal of time in Kingston, Ontario, which is right above Syracuse. It has a huge Celtic culture to it. And this is Morrison's jig, sometimes called Stick Across the Hob. It's named after an Irish fiddler named James Morrison. The last selection of my friends with lovers and my friends that fit in my lap is very, very, very well known and was brought to the forefront in American culture, pop culture, through Simon and Garfunkel. And I'm putting down all my F and C lovers right now to get myself back into C. And this one is an English tune, so I'm going back home to England. And I think that's all I'm going to share right now, because I'm quite certain you know the name of this tune.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. She once was a true love of mine. Tell her to make me a cambric shirt. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Without no seams, no needle work. Then she'll be a true love of mine.
So, Scarborough Fair, in the middle of that, I shared my next friend. This is Boku. Boku and I go way back, almost 30 years. And Boku didn't just come into my life. She was a commitment of 8 years of pestering and I want and I want and I want and I gotta have. And there were 5 kids in my family. So a reality check was definitely something that was shared with me from time to time because the cost difference between these two is at least $10,000. So yes, it was quite a pursuit to want this instrument. I remember in high school, I'd have pictures of harps all throughout my room. I went to a big convention in Paris when I was about 16, and that's when I decided that was it. That was what I was going to do. And I never gave up, never ever gave up. The next selection I'm going to share with you, and what makes this harp what it is the fact that it's a line in Healy. It's made in Chicago. Yes, American made. And it is the Style 23, modeled after the Victorian period. It has 7 pedals instead of the levers. And the pedals basically give you the half steps just like the levers do, the black keys on the piano. We still have our C's. We still have our F's. However, with just one switch of one pedal for all my C's, I can go from a flat to a natural to a sharp. It's pretty cool. And this particular selection I'm going to share with you has pedal slides, which are a lot of fun. This one is called Around the Clock Suite. That's the suite it's from, but the piece is called 10 Past 2. This was shared with me in the middle of an elevator ride with another harpist on the way up to rehearsal in college. She said, "Hey, you want to do something really, really fun?" Each of the movements in the suite has a particular little poem that's shared and that introduces that particular movement. Early afternoon, you walk along the avenue, you look in the shop windows, and you're fascinated by the glitter and all the new styles, and you stop at one window and a gown that is shimmering with sequins. It makes you tingle with delight. And then you walk again, and you take in the displays that are made just for you. And I know with all that has happened in the last few weeks, most of us have had an experience of going to a store that wasn't open. And maybe we got to window shop, maybe we didn't. 10 past 2. So the next selection is one that is very well known. So much so that I recreated my own version of it and added a technique to it called près de la table, near the soundboard. And in the middle of the strings, we get this effect, and towards the soundboard, we get this effect. So it's often sometimes called guitaric sounds as well. And it has a different sound effect, obviously, sounding more like a guitar. We also have another technique called bande de les cordes, and that's in the middle of the string. So here's the middle, there's down on the guitar side, the guitar sound, and right halfway before is the bande de les cordes. So this is Clair de Lune, Claude Debussy, one of our favorite composers that we love as harpists. And this is an arrangement featuring Près la Table. The next two selections are written by a gentleman named Carlos Salcedo. Salcedo was a famous pedagogue for our instrument, as well as an amazing composer, and came up with a really amazing list, phenomenal list of techniques for the instrument. And so much so that Lyon and Healy and he created a harp it after him, and it has on its column an Art Deco style. So it's quite a bit different looking than the 23 Victorian style you see in front of you right here. As a harpist, we have 47 strings to deal with, and today 47, 47, 36, 19, a little bit more than the usual call. And there was one that just kind of got away from me a little bit. It's usually our first octave that goes out. We can almost always count on our bass wires to be in tune for the most part, but it's usually first and second that move a lot when the weather's changing or the doors opening or closing, things of that sort. These two selections by Salcedo are Tango and Seguidilla. Seguidilla, I just simply love to say that word, the way it feels in your mouth when you say it, Seguidilla. In Tango, they're both actually from a suite called A Suite of 8 Dances. And the Seguidilla has a lot of glissing in it, gliding over a lot of strings. And I've added some more glisses to it outside of what's written, so I've added a lot of flourish to it. So Tango and Seguidilla. Moving my foot pedals, going to a different key. You didn't hear just about every string on this instrument before I leave it. However, I'm not leaving it just so soon. The next selection is very, very well known. And I did arrange it So it's for flute and harp, but I will do it with harp alone today. And it is the exposition from the Mozart Flute and Harp Concerto. This particular number was not written for this particular sized instrument. When we first evolved, we were coming from the lever world and traveling around the countryside and playing for kings and queens and courts and things of that. And when we were finally deemed as something beyond a folk instrument, something that could be played in an orchestra, obviously our size had to get bigger. And we had a sort of a disagreement. There were two harps being made at the same time, and they were competing. There was the Erard pedal, and then there was the Pleyel cross-strung. And if you can imagine, we list all the time. Well, the Pleyel cross-strung, 2 rows, that's a lot of. It would be quite tricky to get some glissing going on that in a very clean fashion. So basically what happened is Erard won out on it, and some of his first harps definitely don't look like these two here. These have extended boards on them. I always say that they look like, like we're growing hips, if you can see at the bottom of the harps. And that helps us project our sound even further. But when this concerto was written, the soundboard was narrow and straight. This is the Mozart Flute and Harp Concerto in C major, and I've arranged it without flute, just for today. I do love my flute players. The next selection is actually, I would say, almost opposite of the Mozart Flute and Harp. And it is requested very, very often in a lot of different places. And it's arranged by a gentleman, David Ice is his name, and he resides in Phoenix, Arizona. And I want to shout out a thank you to him because he arranged a harp part for Sleigh Ride for us, which I thought was amazing. It's simple and easy, and it's got beautiful glisses, but it's so fun because often when we hear Sleigh Ride, we just get to sit through it, all those measures, and listen to everybody having all the fun, and we don't get to participate. So it's a shout out to him, but he also wrote this number in the sense of arranging it. It's Stairway to Heaven. We are going to leave my friend here and move on to my newest friend. When we're moving all these instruments and shoving them in vans and figuring out the puzzle work and how it all fits together, we don't usually mind carrying extra gear or other accessories. One of my favorite accessories is my chair. I love this chair very dearly, very, very dearly. I love the height of it. I love that it has a back. Often we sit and count a lot of measures, and so it's very, very helpful to have a back to sit against when we're doing that. This is my electroacoustic harp. Her name is Electra. Electra's been with me about a year, and we're still basically figuring each other out to some degree. I just restrung her in nylon, so that's been a little bit of a difference in the sense of gut and nylon. Gut can be quite a bit tighter to pull on and to play with. There's about 2 tons of pressure on a full-size harp from the strings pulling up on the board, on the wood. And so I did string her in nylon just to help break in my new harp here. She's very interesting in that she has 3 colors. She really couldn't decide which color she wanted to be. So we're purple, we're blue, and we're aqua all at the same time. We still have the 7-foot pedals just like the other harp. However, if we look down here, we see that we also have some buttons that we haven't had before. And actually, it's good that I'm looking down here because her on button, is on. There she goes. Okay. And So she has an on button because she's electric, and each string has a pickup. It's just like a little mic for each particular string. So there's all this technology behind right in the soundboard. She has a lot of potential. I mic her through a Bose amp, and that has 3 channels on it. One of the channels is Bluetooth, so I can actually play with her with a video through my phone or through layers, other instruments, things like that. I also could get eventually a looper pedal. So, 7 pedals, what's another pedal, right? So I could get a looper pedal, and what that would do is it would sample music for me, 4 to 8 bars depending, or longer, and that could be drums, it could be a drum kit, it could be lots of different types of instruments that I could layer in with her. So this is Electra, and when I was asked to do this series, and I thought about this particular time period and all that we're going through, I thought we all could use a little sun. Just going to check a string here real quick. Remember what I was saying about first and second octave? Okay, moving on to the next number, which is so much fun. I thought was so fitting for that social distancing we're all doing right now. Driving me crazy. Close to You by the Carpenters.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you. Why do stars fall down from the sky every time you walk by? Just like me, they long to be close to you. On the day that you were born, the angels got together and decided to create a dream come true. So they sprinkled moon dust in your hair, of gold and starlight in your eyes of blue. That is why all the girls in town follow you all around. Just like me, they long to be close to you. Ah,
Now, I'm sure going through this all together as we are, one of the major changes in my life over the last few weeks was my relationship with time. I simply couldn't understand why I went from this life of teaching and rehearsing and performing and practicing and all of these things all over, sometimes 6 a.m. to 11 at night, day in, day out, to almost nothing, absolutely nothing. It gave me opportunity to connect with family, as I'm sure it has you too. But it really changed my relationship with my clocks. Clocks, Coldplay. As we come to a close of today's show, I wanted to take the time to thank so many people. First of all, the Reilly Arts Center, the Ocala Symphony, all of our sponsors, everyone who made this possible, from Savannah to Casey, and all of the folks that helped with lighting and sound, Charles. I especially wanted to thank as well, and at the top of my mind, the first responders, the folks that are helping us through our day-to-day. Perhaps they're delivering the groceries to your door, keeping you out of the stores, helping you feel safe. Perhaps they're picking up your garbage. Perhaps they are also in the ICU, in the emergency room, things of that nature, always helping, whether it be someone working at a hospital or someone in essential businesses. I thought it fitting for what we're going through to leave us with hope. We will always have hope. And to leave us with a hymn, Hallelujah, by Leonard Cohen.
I've heard before there was a secret chord that David played, and it played
Thank you so much, Tasha. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you all out there for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. And thank you for spending your day with us. Thank you to our sponsors, Ocala Recreation and Parks, Cox Communications, the Marion Cultural Alliance, Angie Lewis State Farm, the Reilly Arts Center Board of Directors, and of course, support from viewers like you. If you would also like to make a donation to support programming like this and support the Reilly Arts Center for the future, you can go online to reillyartcenter.com/support, make a donation that will help us to support this program. Tasha, we made mention that earlier. She's a part of our Cal Symphony Orchestra. She plays harp, so you can see her when our season starts back up in the fall. Again, if you are going throughout your week, make plans to check out Agapanthus. Go onto their website. They have their online store. Check out all the great things that they have going on. Maybe make a purchase for yourself or something that would brighten someone else's day. We're going to be right back here on Tuesday, April 17th at 7 p.m. with Giselle Felice and Eric Abernathy. This duo is going to be performing a collection of timeless covers and jazz standards, as well as some of their own original music, so you definitely don't want to miss it. To see the rest of our lineup, visit reillyartcenter.com/live. And thank you again for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.